What is with all these songs about, oh? Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, the show that finds it odd that a game about dogfighting stars a fox, and a bird, and, a frog. So, Star Fox. That's a name we haven't heard around here in, holy hamburgers, 3 years? Man, that's some OG game theory right there. Look how choppy the intro is. And my hair? Wow, guys, we have come a long way. Now, as you hardcore loyal theorists may remember from that episode, we determined that the Star Fox team might be less a group of G diffusers and more a group of G losers. I mean, they can't even call their moves the right name. But the reason I bring it up is this quote.
If this show had any budget, I'd demonstrate the difference by hopping in a plane with an expert pilot, probably including some comedic routine where I was made sick by the G-forces created. Instead, you get some Mythbusters footage and a couple of still images.
Now, here we are 3 years later, and with some funding from YouTube, that dream of testing Star Fox in real life finally became a reality. A reality check, to be exact. Remember that SWAT team video we did about a month ago where we tested what it would be like to be in a real-life hostage rescue situation? Well, if you missed it, here's the link. And this was the same idea, only testing Star Fox's dogfighting moves, hopping into a real-life stunt plane and piloting it myself, which was just insane, and then experiencing the physics of extreme flight in person. I'll also include a link at the end. I am super proud of this video, so I hope that you check it out. I think you'll like it. You know what else I'm proud of? Not throwing up, because at the beginning of the day, I definitely thought I was going to. Even in the plane a little bit, I was gonna toss some cookies. But hey, I made it out. Cameraman, not so lucky. Anyway, while I was flipping around analyzing the physics of aileron rolls and U-turns, one thing that blew my mind was the various forces my body was undergoing. Besides making me scream like a girl, doing those high-speed maneuvers had blood sloshing back and forth through my body, rushing towards and away from my head over and over with every small adjustment of the control stick. It sounds pretty gross now that I think about it, but it also reminded me of one disturbing detail from the Star Fox franchise: the character's metal legs. Seriously, check out this issue of Nintendo Power from 1993, or this trophy from Super Smash Bros. Melee, or the actual game box for Star Fox on the Super Nintendo. Metal legs every time. Falco, Slippy, even dusty old Peppy, all without their original legs. Well, I guess in Peppy's case, you would at least get a couple of lucky rabbit's feet out of the deal, and with Falco, you get like a chicken wing or something. Slippy, you can eat frog's legs, but now things have taken a dark turn and I've gotten way off track. Let's get to the point. The point is this: why? Why would Team Star Fox require all the pilots to amputate their legs? Is it a self-image thing? A seriously misguided tribute to Jax from Mortal Kombat? The ultimate Foxy cosplay? Nope. The internet seems to think it has something to do with performing high-speed aerial combat maneuvers, but is that really the case? Would legless animals actually make the best aerial dog fighters? Or fox fighters, I suppose. Well, let's see if this theory has any legs to stand on. In real life, the true danger of dogfighting, outside of, another plane shooting at you, is acceleration, which produces extreme G-forces on the body. The human, or let's say anthropomorphic bird body, is used to operating in a normal 1G environment. That's the equivalent of Earth's gravity, and we've evolved to handle that pretty well. But as anyone who's ever ridden a roller coaster can attest, when you accelerate up or down, side to side, your body starts to experience variations of G-forces. In fact, there are 3 types of G-forces a pilot typically experiences: GX, GY, and GZ. There is no 4th G. There is no G4 in more ways than one. GX is the force on the body from chest to back. For instance, when a plane quickly accelerates during takeoff, you're pushed back into your seat. That's an increase in GX forces. GY forces go from shoulder to shoulder across your body. When a plane rolls from side to side, like in Star Fox's incorrectly named barrel roll, that's when they're going to feel the most in GY forces. But it's GZ forces that are the most dangerous. These are the ones that go from your head to your foot. When a pilot pulls a plane out of a dive or loop, positive GZ GZ forces pull him down into his seat, making him feel heavier and a lot shorter. Speaking from personal experience, I got a lot of this in the plane when we were doing loops, and it's these GZ forces that are our focus for today because they're the ones that put a pilot into the most danger. You see, contrary to the way Star Fox plays, a lot of dogfighting happens not just in the forward and backward directions, but in the vertical space, as planes dive and swoop around each other to prevent other planes from targeting them, all while trying to get behind the enemy and target him. And that means huge changes in the GZ forces acting on the body, the whole body, which includes everything inside of it, particularly the blood. Those high GZ forces shove all the blood down to the legs and feet, and it makes it hard for that blood to make its way back up to the pilot's main two resources, his eyes and his brain. If the blood pools in their feet for too long, the pilot will experience either temporary blindness or even loss of consciousness, which, as you can imagine, is a bit dangerous when you're trying to fly a plane. Humans have created ways to combat this danger by creating G-suits, which are, in essence, tight-fitting pairs of pants that fit inside of a flight suit. But these aren't your average hipster skinny jeans, my friends. These come equipped with balloons that inflate or deflate to regulate the amount of blood flowing away from the brain. Thing is, though, it doesn't look like Fox McCloud and his team wear anything like this when they fly. At best, they're wearing a glorified spandex outfit a la Star Trek, and at worst, they're wearing what they're wearing in this promotional art for the original SNES game. This artwork makes the team look a whole lot scarier than a FNAF animatronic. I just can't get that game out of my head! Look what you guys have done to me! But what if there was another solution? Preventing blood from pooling in your legs and feet by getting rid of your legs and feet. Could it be that Star Fox's team amputates their own legs to combat the effects of GZ forces when they fly? I mean, logically it makes sense, right? Because the legs make up so much of your body, and because the arteries and veins in them are so long, taking your legs out of the equation would literally halve the distance the blood needs to travel to get back to your heart. And that would seem to make it easier to keep that blood pumping up to old Mr. Brain so he can focus on the other Mr. Brain flying in front of him. I don't know, Andros is a weird boss, man. But it's not just logic, there are historical examples too. Meet Douglas Bader, Alexei Maraseyev, and Colin Hoppy Hodgkinson. These three men were World War II ace pilots. In total, between the three of them, they flew over 100 missions, earned over 20 awards, shot down over 15 planes, and walked on a total of 0 legs. That's right, all of them flew after having their legs amputated. In fact, Bader was so hardcore that when he was caught trying to escape a German prisoner of war camp and the guards took away his prosthetic legs, he had someone airdrop him new legs so he can try and escape again. Makes Call of Duty missions look pretty pathetic by comparison, right? And on the official website of the Douglas Bader Foundation, which was established in his name following his death in 1982 to help people cope with their limb loss, it says that, quote, because he has no legs, Bader could sustain greater G-forces without losing consciousness. So it would seem like this theory is supported by everything except science. That's kind of an important one, right? You see, the body's ability to withstand G-forces relates back to blood pressure. Blood pressure is the force of the blood pushing against the walls of the body's arteries. I'm sure you've gotten tested either with the cuff in a doctor's office or those machines in drugstores that squeeze your arm. Those things are like so much fun. It's like the drugstore equivalent of a video game. Look at me press the button! Anyway, it's a good measure for the amount of effort it takes to get blood through the body. And as G-force increases, the pressure necessary to pump blood from the heart to the brain multiplies. At 1 G, you need one amount. At 2 Gs, you need twice that amount. At 3 Gs, triple, and so on. With the help of G-suits, fighter pilots can handle up to 8 or 9 Gs of force. So that's what Fox is hoping his severed limbs will help him achieve. The problem is, though, blood pressure is dictated by a few factors, including the total amount of blood in your circulatory system and the resistance created by your veins and arteries. When Star Fox loses a leg, or 2, he's also losing all the blood in those legs. So it's not like there's suddenly more blood in his system, which means that's not increasing his overall blood pressure. And while you might think that removing all the veins and arteries that came in the legs might make it easier for blood to flow through the body, it doesn't. The body is an incredible machine that can sense drastic changes in its systems and adjust its behavior accordingly. We hear about it all the time. People who lose their sight have their other senses cranked up to compensate. In this case, if a bunch of blood and veins go missing, the body just knows allows to lessen the amount of blood produced to get blood pressure back to a normal level. A few days after the amputation, Star Fox's circulatory system would have rebalanced itself, and his blood pressure would have returned back to normal. And consider this, even though there might be fewer veins and arteries, the actual distance from Star Fox's heart to his head doesn't change. You see, blood leaves the heart and enters the lungs where it gains oxygen. From there, it goes back to the heart, then gets sent through the body, with one path going directly to the brain. And the distance of that pathway isn't made any shorter by cutting off the legs, which means that both the blood pressure and the distance the blood has to travel stay the same, resulting in a legless Star Fox having little to no advantage when it comes to handling extreme G-forces. Myth busted. Wait, sorry, wrong show. So it seems like the benefits of flying legless are actually non-existent. So then, why the metal legs? Well, instead of looking at what the Star Fox crew is doing in the air, let's instead look at a place where we would actually expect legs to do something useful, on the ground. It's not often that we get to see them outside their spaceships, but there are a few pieces of canon that we can call on here. I direct your attention for a moment back to good old Star Fox 64, where in the multiplayer mode, after earning a medal on Venom in Expert mode, Fox, Falco, Slippy, and even fat old Peppy Hare run around on foot, all while toting around a personal rocket launcher, at speeds one could only dream of running, going toe-to-toe with jets and tanks. Yeah, there was an on-foot multiplayer in Star Fox 64. While we know from my tank episode that these things aren't the fastest vehicles out there, we're looking at speeds of around 20 to 25 miles per hour, which would definitely be considered superhuman, or super fox, super bird, whatever. It's really fast. But can robotic legs actually make you faster? Well, yeah, actually. Case in point, world-class runner Oscar Pistorius, an Olympian out of South Africa who also happens to have no legs. He was born without fibulae, which are the pair of bones that make up the lower half of your legs. And so he had his legs amputated at 11 months. To compensate for his condition, he uses a pair of springy prosthetic legs. They allow him to run using approximately the same body motions and mechanics as he would if he were a fully legged runner, or, as some have accused him, better than a fully legged runner. You see, as he was trying to qualify for the 2008 Beijing Olympics, questions were raised as to whether Pistorius's flex foot cheetah prosthetic leg that's a tough one to say. Flex foot cheetah prosthetic leg attachments were giving him an unfair advantage. A study was carried out in Germany, and the scientists concluded that because the prosthetics were lighter than actual legs and absorbed much more impact from his footfalls, Pistorius was actually 25% more energy efficient than natural runners. While the studies are still ongoing, and seriously, however it turns out, it's an incredible athletic story, even though he might not be an incredible guy, if we apply the same principle to Star Fox, we've just helped shed some light onto our bionic animal conundrum. But there's something even more basic at work here: the ability to simply stand on two legs. Human feet have evolved enlarged heels and a wide ball of the foot in order to bear the amount of weight that comes with standing on two legs. Remember, when standing on two legs, the foot has to act as a balancing platform, able to support the entire weight of the body. Slippy, Fox, Peppy, none of these animals would be able to stand and walk on their 2 feet with their normal animal legs. And that's kind of important since they need their other 2 legs to operate a plane steering mechanism, hence the amputation. So what this all seems to indicate then is that Star Fox's mechanical legs actually have nothing to do with flying at all. It has to do with the time they spend on the ground. That's why you're so fast in Super Smash Bros. Then again, maybe the legs were just the result of some artist trying to figure out how to draw animal legs in a way that didn't look awkward. Nah, that couldn't be it. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. And hey, if you want to watch my episode of Game Theory Reality Check, where I hop into a stunt plane to test out the moves of Star Fox with an actual fighter pilot, click here to check it out. And while you're at it, if you missed it, check out my first game theory on the Star Fox games. It's one that's been buried in the archives for a while, so if you want to revisit game theory from 3 years ago, click here, check it out. Sure, it's an oldie, but it's a goodie. I mean, it even inspired one of our merch designs. So it was a pretty influential episode. So I task you with the following. Go revisit some retro game theory, go check out some super new, super fancy reality check game theory, and just enjoy a whole lot of Star Fox goodness. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go mentally prepare myself for FNAF 4. Seriously, I need as much time as possible to just get around the fact that there's a fourth one.